Hello and welcome to the Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. I'm Matt Mercer, instructor for the Pathfinder School and the founder of the Black Cat Bushcraft channel right here on YouTube. And once again this afternoon, I'm out in this beautiful section of woods. This is our family's land, and I'm just doing a little pre-season scout, preparing for trapping season. I'm traveling by conveyance today, so I was able to bring some good food with me. I have a delicious recipe we're going to prepare right here in the woods today, submitted by one of our viewers, which means, of course, once again, we have another winner to get some free Pathfinder cooking gear. I'm also excited because we have a new method to cook today, and I'm excited about trying this out. So this is a homemade rocket stove that my friend Jeff put together, and he made this from scratch out of spare parts, did all the welding and so forth. And just looking at it, it's an excellent design. I'm really excited to cook with this thing today. Basically what you have is this little door here where you can feed twigs and lighter fuel that's just easily accessible on the forest floor. And then you have a channel down here to feed oxygen to the base of the fire. So it looks like a really good design. This is your burner up top where you can set the pot and the pan. And I'm excited to try this thing out. I appreciate Jeff loaning it to me, and I'm hoping that this is going to help us cook up a delicious lunch today. Now, anytime I get to cook up a new delicious recipe here in the woods, I get excited about that. But whenever I get to announce yet another winner for more free Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear, I get super excited. And I'm sure you guys are looking forward to finding out who the winner is. But before we do that, today's recipe is a quick fireside chili. Right now it's October. The leaves are slowly starting to change, even though it's still 89 degrees out here today in the south. But fall is here, and what's more fall than a nice, spicy, warm chili recipe? I can't wait to cook this up. This recipe was submitted to us by Julie Blunden Nash, so congratulations, Julie. Of course, you're going to be receiving a box from Reliance Outfitters. It'll have all of the Pathfinder gear that I used to prepare today's recipe. So I'm excited. Can't wait to get this fire lit. Let's get started cooking this fireside chili right now. So before we get the fire going, I'm going to go ahead and prep up this onion, and we're going to cook that together with the beef first to get our chili started. And if I were out here with other people, I would go ahead and use more of this onion, but since it's just me by myself, I'm going to use a small amount. I'm not doing the full recipe, again, just because it's only one person here and I don't want to cook a lot of food that won't be used. So I'm just going to dice this up real fine. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to just take all of this and add it into my skillet. And we'll cook all that down with the hamburger, and then all the ingredients will get mixed together into my bush pot. For now, I'll just let that sit until we're ready for it. Now, to get my fire started, once again, I'm going to be using these mini Infernos. These things are awesome to make a quick, easy fire. I like to keep these things in my kit at all times. They're handy to have in an emergency, but they're also handy to have for occasions just like this. So all I'm going to do is just use a lighter and just fluff that thing up a little bit. Drop that down in there. And now start to add some twigs to it. Set my skillet off to the side. You can see I've already got flames coming out here to the top. I need to get my hamburger added in, and we'll be officially cooking at that point. Now, I have a full pound of hamburger here, but I'm going to split it into half. Again, just trying to conserve since it's just me out here. I'm going to throw that hamburger right here into my onions. I'm going to set that right up on the fire. I'm going to mix that all together here in just a second. We are officially cooking. All right, so I'm going to try to get this stuff all mixed in together here. This hamburger is actually slightly frozen in the center. And actually, the recipe calls for a little butter or oil, and I just happen to not have that with me today. So I'm hoping that there'll be enough fat in this hamburger to help grease the pan a little bit as it warms up. This is 80-20, so there's a bit of fat in it. All right, so it's been just a couple minutes. Oh yeah, you can see we got a little sizzling going on. Try to chop this hamburger down a little bit finer. There's definitely a lot of heat coming out of that stove. It's working great. And I've only added a few more sticks to the original loading fuel, so I can tell that this thing's going to be very efficient, which is nice because you don't have to process wood and things like that. I'm going to put the top back on and let that continue to cook for a minute. Alright, so let's take a look and see how this hamburger's coming along. Oh yeah, that's doing great. That's looking real good. Man, we got some good fire coming out of this stove. And the Pathfinder folding skillet is one of my favorite pieces of Pathfinder gear because it has that heavy, thick bottom on it. And the thing I like about that is it doesn't have the hot spots that come with a lot of lightweight stainless skillets. A lot of times they heat up fast, they cool fast, they have that hot spot right in the center. But with this, that heavy bottom is almost, in a sense, like cast iron. It helps to distribute the heat better. And as you can see, that thing's cooking nice all the way around the pan. So just really does a good job for cooking up food like this. These onions are starting to get a little bit tender. Hamburger's nice and brown. I think this is about ready to put into the bush pot. We'll add together all our other ingredients. And that chili's gonna start to come together quick. Very nice. All right, so as you can see, my hamburger and onions looks really good. So I'm gonna let that stuff sit here for just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and add in to my 64-ounce bush pot all the other ingredients. And we have several things to add here. First of all, good thing I carry a Leatherman, because I didn't notice that my tomato paste doesn't have a pop top. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer my hamburger and onion mixture into the bush pot. Want to be careful not to lose any of that goodness right there. And if you wanted to do this in just the skillet or just the bush pot, I'm sure you could do that. I just wanted to make sure I didn't run out of room. And normally when I think about chili, I think about a pot of chili. All right, that looks good. All right, and now we need to add 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm just using my stainless spork as a rough estimate there. Might need a little extra. There we go. I always like to add a little extra of everything. Mix that in a little bit. And next I'm adding in a small can of diced tomatoes and adding the juice from that as well. Mix that in good. And next I'm going to add in 1 small can of dark red kidney beans. And next we're going to add in a big tablespoonful of beef bouillon to add in some extra good flavor with that. Once again, just a little extra. Can't hurt. And last but not least, I'm going to add in my pre-mixed spices to bring this chili all together. All right, so we need to get this all mixed up. And I may need to add some water. And the recipe calls for that. So that won't be a problem. Man, this stuff smells good. It already looks good to me. And it's still got to simmer for about 20 minutes to bring it all together. And of course, with any chili recipe, the longer you let it simmer, the better it's going to get. All right, let's add a little water to that and cook it down. Now I'm going to cook this down with the top off until that water starts to evaporate. That should bring all these flavors together nicely. right, so it's been about 15, maybe 20 minutes, and all I've been doing is simply stirring this pot every so often. And the chili's really starting to thicken up. I just have to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. So far, so good on that. And every so often, I just add a couple of sticks into the stove, and that keeps the heat going. I have to be honest with you guys, I have been licking the spoon, and that tastes absolutely amazing. I don't know if it's the smell of the smoke or just the fact that I'm cooking in the woods, but this may just be the best chili I've ever tasted. It's a simple cooking process, but waiting for it, that's the hard part. So my stainless steel plate and spork have gotten a little impatient. So I think it's time to get some of this stuff out. It's very thick, looks fantastic. And I'm gonna get it on this plate here so it can start to cool off. And we're gonna find out just how good it really is. This stuff looks amazing. And I know every time I make a new recipe, I say this might be my favorite yet. This might be my favorite yet. All right, you guys ready for the close-up? Here you go. Man, oh man, does that look delicious. And it smells fantastic. This would be an awesome meal on a cool fall or winter day in camp. You've got your protein, you got carbohydrates, you got the heat from the warm chili, but also all those spices that help warm you up from the inside out on a cold day. This is a good rib sticking meal and definitely a great camp recipe. Quick fireside chili made easy. I can't wait to eat this. So you guys probably know me by now. You know I get super excited whenever I cook up a delicious meal in camp, and I can't wait to eat, but I always got to give thanks. All right, time to give it a taste test. Here goes. I knew it was going to be good because I'd already licked the spoon, but I got a feeling now I'm going to be licking the plate. That is so good. Man, it is good. You guys know I always feel bad about eating in front of you. And you know I don't like to talk with my mouth full. But I can't help myself with this. So I'd like to say thanks once again, Julie, for this recipe. This is an excellent chili recipe. I've made it for years at home, but I've never made chili in a camp setting. So this will definitely go into my book of recipes. And it really wasn't that big of a deal to bring these ingredients, especially if you're going to be in a base camp for maybe a couple of days. You've got access to a cooler or conveyance. It's just a minimal amount of things that you have to bring, and it really makes it simple if you pre-mix the spices like I did today. So this will definitely be a do-againer. Man, I was already sweating before I started eating chili, but now that I've started eating this, I can feel my face getting flushed, and I can tell I'm starting to sweat a lot more now. This would be fantastic on a cold fall day or dinner, warm you up before you go to bed at night. Just an excellent recipe for that. So I'm looking forward to doing this again once the weather breaks here in the South. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to tune in as always. And don't forget, if you have a fantastic camp recipe that you'd like to share with us or see featured on this show, make sure to send that recipe to the email address listed down below. Once you submit your recipe, I add it into a bank of recipes that I continue to pull from over time. So once you submit that recipe, it's never thrown out, and I'll continue to pull from that bank of recipes. So go ahead and get your recipe sent over, and you just might see it featured here on the Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. Once again, I'd like to thank you guys for your time and interest, all your kind words. Feel free to make a comment down below. I always enjoy reading the comments and seeing what you guys have to say. I definitely plan to be back with another recipe and some more outdoor cooking for you guys very soon. So until that next video, you guys take care, and as always, be safe.